So today I want to share something a little bit different, and it's really about my own personal journey along the fitness industry to where I am today, launching the New You Collective. So growing up, basically I'd be someone who would have been very kind of interested in sport, so I say, but not someone who really took to the next level with sport. So would have loved PE in school, did some level of team sports, but for one reason or another didn't really excel where I may have had the potential. I was told I had the potential to excel, but just between myself and probably my parents, there was no drive to really take it to the next level. And I would have played all kind of sports, GAA, tennis, possibly spent most of my time then later in life playing cricket. But through my early years, primary school, secondary school, doing different courses and different camps and different kind of sports, but not really take to the next level. But as I look back, probably the one thing that would have stuck with me all through the years would have been my love for food. And it probably would have started with my influence of my parents, who would have introduced us to the types of foods that most people in Ireland wouldn't have been exposed to. So my dad specifically would have been kind of vegetarian, vegan before it was a kind of, I wouldn't like to class it totally as a fad, but it became mainstream. He would have been in the late 80s, early 90s, making his own soya milk and sourcing products. And not that that had a big effect, but then as he progressed through that, we would have been exposed to kind of different foods that, as I said, the average Irish person wouldn't have been experiencing. I know Mediterranean most people would, but we would have experienced African foods. We would have went into African shops, and my parents would have had Caribbean friends, so we would have tried Jamaican foods, Jamaican cuisine, and then just foods that your average kind of kid or teen probably would have snuffed their nose at. So I would have been brought up with kind of oysters, crab. We would have tried a lot of foods that the average person probably wouldn't have experienced. And what that has given me over the years is probably zero fussiness with food. There is no food that I would snuff my nose up at. There's no food that I do not like. And I think food has always been an integral part of my overall life. And even growing up, the love for food, be it in a good way or a bad way, has always stuck with me. So as I was approaching sixth year, I filled out my CAO form, didn't really know what I wanted. Like most kind of 16, 17-year-olds, I jotted a couple of things down. Maybe stuff that maybe I thought my dad would have liked, and trying to maybe please him in a sense, and not being confused myself on what to put down. So at the end of it all, I got my first choice, which was food science and UCD. And I didn't really do my due diligence and kind of understood what was involved. I was like, well, I like biology, I do biology in school, I love food, sure, what's not to like about this course? Then, fast forward a couple of months, I was in UCD, found it very overwhelming, and probably the first year just was very, very difficult, between just the level of science behind it, and I just didn't think I fitted in with the whole kind of area, and I just wasn't prepared, doing chemistry, inorganic chemistry, and not having done it in secondary school and chosen the kind of 3 science subjects. I only had biology behind me. I was kind of overwhelmed, not really prepared, and I took the difficult decision after the first year to hand kind of my drop-in letter to the office. I did sit down with the course coordinator. I know she's still a professor there, of food science, and I just said, look, it's not for me. And I remember being in the office, and she directed me to say, look, you can always come back at a later stage, and that's still on the table. But it was probably my most difficult decision. And like any kind of 18, 19-year-old going back to your dad and saying, look, I've decided to drop out, it was a very difficult decision, especially it probably would have come from kind of one side of my family where there'd be a lot of academia in the family, so it's never an easy decision. You kind of think people look down on you, or just maybe think, that's a failure. But look, it was a tough decision at the time. Looking back, it was the best decision I probably could have made at that given time. So through college, I would have worked in Tesco for the next 10 years. I would have been in management level in Tesco, and again, I was close to food. I enjoy food. I feel like I'm kind of passionate trying different foods, especially Irish food. So I was in that kind of industry, getting to talk to suppliers, reps, etc. I love that area of it. But again, deep down through it all, I knew it wasn't for me. I was just biding my time to find something different. And through everything, through the hard shift patterns, etc., I'd gained weight. So I went to a personal trainer, because someone who's like 23, 24, 25, getting to a stage where you're not happy with the way you look, not even going out, the kind of calling card for me was going out for just a regular 5k run, and after the first 100 meters I was completely out of breath, could not continue. I said something has to change. Like, I'm 23 years old, I have a young son, and just not being able to run around the block, being vastly overweight, like compared to where I am now, probably 35 kilos heavier than where I am now, and it was just a very difficult time. So hired a personal trainer, worked with him for a number of years. Through all that, I decided to go to college, and this is before everyone seemingly wanted to be a personal trainer. I did 3 years in Sallynoggin, between personal training, gym instruction, and also physical therapy. And during that time, started at FSM as a client, and then during my studies, the personal trainer I went to, I covered for him for a few shifts, and he did have a couple of people who, I'm not going to name them on air, but they would have been classed as kind of worldwide stars. And look, as a rookie coach, covering a couple of weeks holidays of someone, and you're dealing with people who have a worldwide profile, it was like being thrown in the deep end. But looking back on it, it was probably the best experience. Usually people find that the best experience is when you are thrown in the deep end, and it's sink or swim. So they were funny times, because I coached these people. I did ask one particular person, could I get a photo with you? And he said, it's probably best if we don't. And that was a kind of a surreal moment. But yeah, that was my early stage in the kind of gym and fitness space. Came to FSM, started doing the classes originally when we were CrossFit, and then Stephen said, would you like to intern? So I interned while at college, while still at Tesco, so there was a lot going on. And the college was a full-time course. It was not one of those part-time courses you pay a fair bit of money for. I was doing 3 years full-time, so it was trying to balance all that, and while having one child and 2 more on the way. So now the juggling parts, finished college, started part-time in FSM, and then I was still part-time in the evenings in Tesco for the first couple of years. Got the ropes coaching, but then started jumping on some of the nutrition plans. Originally here at FSM, the nutrition plans would have been kind of a paleo approach, which was kind of low carbohydrate. It was free for everyone. It was kind of just challenges more than anything. And I just found it fascinating on the change you could show people during those challenges. And for some people, life-changing things. And it wasn't even from a weight loss perspective. It was just life-changing kind of value that people got from them. So that's where, down through my whole coaching time, it was also getting more involved in the nutrition side of things. So through my own weight loss, I found that I could share real life experience, and I wasn't what would you call a young coach who didn't have life experience. I have and had at the time 3 young children, so time poor, late nights, and all the rest of it. So I kind of felt like I could input my knowledge into those situations. So I did kind of shadow Stephen in our first couple of kind of red, amber, green original nutrition programs. So the red, amber, green still stands today, but that's how we kind of shifted from the kind of paleo approach to red, amber, green, where you have your red foods, which are enjoyable foods, but we have them now and again. Our amber foods, which are again decently healthy foods, but we have them in moderation. The green foods are the fish, vegetables, meat, nuts, all the natural stuff. So being part of them, shadowing, and then eventually moving on and heading it up. So really with the kind of new nutrition programs, kind of really delving into what I'm passionate about: food, nutrition, making small changes, nothing drastic, nothing inherently sexy either. It was all kind of common sense approach, because through my time in college, through my time at FSM, in the kind of gym nutrition space, there's so, like, information is so widespread that it's very, very easy to get kind of confused, bombarded, and it's just coming in with a common sense approach, scientifically backed, and not giving people the answers that they always want to hear. Sometimes people want to hear that it's going to be quick, that you can take this one supplement and you're going to lose all the weight, or it's going to solve the problem. It's working with people and having kind of an in-person kind of relationship with them, as opposed to just being on a computer screen, giving them a diet plan, and that you might get a text message or an email off them once a week or once a month, whatever it may be. So the new nutrition program, the 6-week courses we did within the gym, I'm still doing in the gym, kind of really gave kind of a backbone on how to work with people kind of in that group environment from a nutrition standpoint. Because when you're dealing with people in nutrition, like in the gym, you're going to meet, and I meet, lots of different people who face lots of different challenges. A lot of the challenges can revolve around the same kind of ideas: time, motivation, kind of other commitments, and it can come up in different forms, but it's trying to come up with solutions for people and making small, sustainable changes. And the key word I always come back to when it comes to nutrition is sustainable, because again, as you get into this more kind of instant world where we're looking for instant gratification and instant results, often the thing that gets lost through it all is sustainability, and what can you do over the long term, and what long-term changes can you make where you're not having to constantly yo-yo and worry about trigger foods and just worry, where you want to just have a little bit of freedom, a little bit of common sense, but have the kind of support behind you, so it's not such a nuisance and like, just to put it mildly, a ball ache to really worry about your nutrition. So through it all, we were thinking, look, let's move a little bit of our focus. Yes, keep the group thing going, but a little bit of a smaller group, longer term program. So that's where the New You Collective came in. So we saw some big results from people, some people losing 20, 30 kilos over a certain period of time, some people giving up Coca-Cola altogether, going from 10 or 12 cans a day, people eating fruit and vegetables when they never ate fruit and vegetables before. So a lot of these kind of results over the years weren't just weight loss, they were making big changes in people's lives where they didn't realize that sleep was so important to their overall food, nutrition, lifestyle, gym habits. So that's where we came up with the plan of coming up with a longer term program, working off a journal. New You Collective comes into play, where we could really delve in a little bit deeper from the accountability standpoint, not let people just go off on their own and just take things to the next level. So through the New You Collective, it really just brings everything together from a nutritional lifestyle approach. So through my eating studies, here at UCD, working off precision nutrition, working off my own college course, and then working off the precision nutrition, sleep and stress management, where it just shows really how important sleep and stress management is through it all. So again, sleep and stress and just having those things in check can really bring things back to an important level. To give a little bit of context about sleep and stress, and just from my own time, probably a year ago, I didn't train very consistently. My weight crept up. There was a health scare where I thought I might have had a brain issue. It took a couple of months where my training was off, my stress levels were to 90, my sleep was not there, and it was just a very difficult time, and it just really brought back to life where sleep and stress are the bedrock of everything. And what that kind of gave me was that idea of do the course and really delve a little bit deeper into the lifestyle factors and not just look at someone like they need to eat chicken, broccoli and rice all the time. We're looking for the holistic approach. So sleep and stress really is kind of something I do put a lot of emphasis on now, because we can sort out a lot of elements of nutrition, but if we're not sorting out the absolute basics, then we're really pissing in the wind. And that's something that I found during the health scare, that the sleep and stress levels were paramount, and just even other lifestyle factors like getting some people to get their blood pressure checked. The blood pressure monitor would have been something I was looking at as well. So it's just having the overall holistic approach to the nutrition, and now adding in the kind of lifestyle factors. It's a far cry from obviously going back to the days of paleo, and it had its place. We're just trying to bring things to a more modern approach, and having different goals for different people. So when we talk about nutrition, we don't just instantly think about weight loss, and I say that to so many clients these days. It's what can we add into your nutrition lifestyle as opposed to taking things away, because I think unfortunately in the diet culture and the nutrition culture, we've been taught this idea of, well, we need to take calories away, we need to take food away, we need to take bad food away, we need to lose weight, and it's all take. But what can we actually give? And down through my years of enjoying food, savouring food, what kind of tastes, flavours, what kind of foods can we add in? So what kind of local produce can we add in, or local Irish products can we add in to our food to make things obviously environmentally better, ethically better, but also something that's enjoyable, isn't it? It's all well and good having chicken. I always go back to chicken, broccoli and rice, but I know at the moment that tomatoes are coming in season, so I'll actively go into my local Super Value or wherever and try and buy Irish tomatoes, because they're in season, they're going to be fresher, there's less air miles. It's the whole thing, and you feel better when you buy something local. So it's even bringing it down to that level. And that, as I said, goes back to my days of doing food science, working in Tesco. It might sound quite sad, but when I was younger, when people my age, because I had a young child, were going out in their late teens, early 20s, I was going to the likes of Fallonburn, Donnybrook Fair, farmers markets, going up to the Delgany grocer and trying to find new Irish products, enjoying them, like the likes of people might know, like Nobo, going to see them in Dún Laoghaire Market when they're starting out as a small business, and then seeing them thrive, that sort of thing from the food industry. That's the kind of food industry that I want to get into, food science. And it's one thing that people will attest to when they're on the nutrition program. So I will kind of plug Irish producers that are doing a good job, like on the latest nutrition program, and the very small company called Homespun do lovely oat bars. So again, seeing people thrive from the food industry, seeing our clients understand a lot more and educating them a lot more. The way I was educated in the early nutrition programs, and going off to do my own education, educating people on making more sustainable choices, not being force-fed information from tabloid newspapers, from social media, where information is quick, easily digestible, but not usually scientifically proven. So it's trying to kind of debunk a lot of that. So that's really my story from starting out as a kind of confused CEO applicant to moving into the food industry from a supermarket standpoint, from management level, taking my course in personal training and into gym instruction, and then moving into the realm of nutrition coaching and leading the courses here at FSM from the New Nutrition and more recently the New Collective. Hope you found that enjoyable, and I hope you got some valuable nuggets in there of it's never too late to change. I was in a college course when we had people straight out of college, and I know 26, 27 doesn't seem that old starting back college, but I felt like a totally different generation going back to college as a mature student. But it really gives, I hope it gives you that help to, even within the gym, it's never too late to change, and change takes time. It took me, well, this is now, when I left college I was 18, it's only taken me 19 years of my life to get to a point where I kind of feel like I've made it and I found my calling. And I hope you found some inspiration in that too. So the New Collective is really a cumulative effect of all my kind of past kind of experiences and trial and error to really give you the best program possible, and also all my passion over the years from a food aspect. So hope you found that enjoyable, guys, and any feedback I'd love to hear it.